Good evening, everyone. My name is DJV, founder and head owner of Decibel Info Wrestling since 2K22, founder of the SL Archival and History Cataloging Project Fight Forever, curious about where we've been and excited about where we're going. Today, I have something of a special guest with me today, somebody who's been with SL Wrestling for a very long time. Who do I have with me today?
It's me, LG. Hello. How are you
Hello.
doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Heck
I
yeah,
was I
heck yeah.
wasn't sure we were doing this, so I'm here now, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Just get dropped into these things.
Oh, well, I'm happy that you decided to come in and join us and kind of sit down with us to talk about SL wrestling and kind of being in it for a while. Actually, I did want to make a quick note at the time of this recording. I just wanted to wish you a quick happy Res Day.
Oh
Today,
wow,
yeah, today is your Res Day. So
I
yeah.
did not know that. That tells you how busy I am. I didn't know today was my res day. Oh my god! Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
A few drinks tonight, then.
Yeah. There you go, yeah. Oh, but yeah, LG, you have several legacies under your belt, not working well with SWE and I believe the original form of Over the Edge Wrestling, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was another one. Yeah. I've
Heck
been
yeah.
I've been around the block. I've done a
Yeah.
bit of everything. Is the long and short of it.
Awesome, awesome. How did you get into SL wrestling like at the very start?
Okay, so I loved to build in SL. I love creation. I've been a content creator for since day one, for myself and then later on for other people. And initially, I was on a sim with a wonderful lady called Zarina. And I was approached by, at the time, it was Lex and DHA from OEW, and they said, we want to set up a wrestling arena and perform. We've got nowhere to perform at the moment. And I was like, cool, I'll build that. So I went and built, at the time, a wrestling arena and a stadium and a ring and everything. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sort of knocking it together. And then I was like, great, okay, I've built it. I thought I have no idea how this is gonna work. Like I've built this great little arena. Are they just gonna get in the ring and like role play it out? I don't know how this works. And then I remember like standing there and watching the first wrestling, and I was like, wow, this is really really good. And I was like, yeah, do you know what? I kind of want to get involved. And then I slowly from that stage got more into the actual performing and commentary and the inner workings. I wasn't really interested in management or booking because I didn't know that much about the inner workings of wrestling. I just knew it from like a second life point of view and what I'd seen and what entertained me. And it was later on, once I'd learned a bit more, that I kind of got into the other side of it.
Mm, heck yeah, heck yeah. You said that you built a lot. Like you loved to build before SL Wrestling. Is that kind of primarily what you did before you got into SL Wrestling on Second Life?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff in SL, a lot of role playing stuff, a lot of building, a lot of helping people. Once I kind of got to grips with the building, and I'd got to grips with SL and what it can do, both good and bad, but what its main primary goal is, which is connecting people together. I took it upon myself to make sure that anyone who was coming into SL would get a good experience and get sort of passed to where they need to be. So I joined things like the SL Mentors. I worked with Pathfinder Linden and some other individuals, and I was all about accessibility. So I worked with obviously Shafir, Emmy over at Virtual Ability. I helped do Helen Keller Day. I did a lot of things that were predominantly for like users, from wheelies and Max the CNI dog, people who had some disabilities, but in SL they didn't have any. And then I worked with Virtual Helping Hands, which was a team that basically made free items for new people. So initially we were like a hub, so you'd come to Hiles, which was an info center. I don't know if they work anymore. And off that, you would walk over and get yourself some new hair, new shirts, learn about SL, learn about building, and meet one of our mentors who would then teach you. So you got like a good experience. Because I don't know about you, but initially when we started, I think if you ended up landing at Waterhead, which is still a horrible place by the way, you just got griefed, and it was like I don't know what am I doing? Like I don't want to do this. So that it was it was us, or at the time at Waterhead, which was like a horrible place to be. So we wanted to encourage people to stay in SL and find what they want. So yeah, before I got into wrestling, I was about helping people. I was about building content.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, you described that you didn't really get into like management and booking and the like until a little bit later, but what kind of interested you eventually stepping into the role of becoming a Fed owner yourself?
I was I was sort of pushed into being a Fed owner. I when I was with VAW, I used to do a lot of work with VAW, and eventually, we lost the booker, and Vince kind of said to me, at the time I was doing some of the training, and he was like, "Okay, well, can you do the booking?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a go." And I found out that as long as I was communicating with the wrestlers and understanding what direction they wanted to go with their characters, it was very easy for me to create these stories and get them interested in doing them. And that's how I became like a booker. And then from there, I was writing these great stories, and we had some problems in VAW, particularly. Vince had to take a hiatus, and we were struggling, paying for the sim and the normal problems that a lot of people have who start wrestling events. We were
Mm.
losing people left, right, and center, and they wanted to push up one show rather than two, and the time zones didn't work very well for the wrestlers on the other one, and they wanted to cut the storylines and kind of put them in the other. And a lot of my wrestlers at the time who were under the Turbulence banner, which is the Fed I was running at the time with VAW, wanted to continue their stories. And they were all like, well, let's just leave and continue our stories under another banner. And I remember going, no, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that. And then it kind of got to a stage where we either lost half of the Fed because we were cancelling a time zone and they would have gone off to another Fed, or I went and made this other Fed, and I chose to go and make that other Fed, and that was the best and worst decision I ever made.
I can sympathize with that.
Yeah,
Oh, and because it's a whole nother level from anything under like anything before you get into that role. If there's so many things that you underestimate about it. Oh,
it's exactly that. It is. It's one of them things where you can I can sit here and I can tell people about being a Fed owner and what some of the experiences I had, but everyone's going to have different experiences, and it, as much as I tell you, I would always advise give it a go. Um, just be prepared that you're going. The thing with most Feds, and I'm probably going to upset people. Here we go. I'm already upsetting people. Is pro wrestlers will do what is best for pro wrestlers, and that is totally understandable. The loyalty of wrestlers is not their concern. Their concern is to go where the biggest push is, where the biggest draw is, and where they're going to get the most impact with their character. It's your job to provide them a platform where they can do that in the best way possible. If you don't, and things are slipping and your boat is sinking, I promise you, these wrestlers who've said, I'm going to be super loyal and I'm going to stay with you, will jump ship. They will just leave you. And at the time, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't understand that. I took it personally, and it made it very difficult for me to trust people. And then having learnt from Vince, once I came back to Premiere and talked to him about it, my experiences, and he explained his experiences, and we worked out the similarities, I learnt very quickly that it wasn't their fault they were leaving. It was my fault because I hadn't put the things in place to make them stay.
Exactly, and it's something that you don't really you're not really super cognizant of until you get a couple years under your belt practically, and you kind of have to go through it a little bit. It's something where I kind of went through that as well, and it's just something you gotta, yeah, it's it can be rough, but
Yeah, well, you
yeah,
invest so much time into people. I mean, when you're doing the booking, when you're doing, you put so much time into a wrestler. You love that person. You put in a lot of work into them becoming a superstar. You give them the platform, they become a superstar, and then they bugger off to another Fed, and you take that personally.
exactly,
The
yeah,
reason they left was because something you were doing or something the Fed was doing didn't work with what they wanted to do with their character, and it can be anything. It's not personal. You have to understand that, and I think a lot of Feds out there and a lot of Fed owners don't understand that it's a business. It's fun. It is fun, but a lot of wrestlers and a lot of groups you'll talk to, they'll say, "Oh, we get together and we do perform, and it's fun, and we have fun every time, and it's exciting for us." But unless you're a business and you work like a business and you think like a business, there's going to be no Fed there for these people to have fun. If you're not making the income, if you're not pushing the boat, if you're not trying new things, if you're not taking risks that could do damage to your Fed, you're never growing. And in that case, your Fed will slowly start to die. And then no one's having fun because there isn't a Fed. So you have to make sometimes those tough decisions, and they're hard to make. But for each one you do, you get a return. And I think a lot of people don't see it like that. They're just like, I just want to have as much fun as possible. And that's great, but you are on a ticking time when you do that.
exactly, exactly. Can you share an example of a time when you had to make one of those tough decisions that significantly impacted your wrestling Fed?
Yeah, getting rid of our. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say the name
No
because
worries, no worries.
I don't want to say the name. We had to get rid of somebody who was in a very crucial position to the Fed, and this individual also had a really big draw. So this person had a massive draw. They were pulling a lot of individuals to the show. Um, they were selling a lot of merch at the time, and also they were in a key position within the Fed, where they were helping grow the actual Fed itself. But this person had got to a stage where they thought they were untouchable,
Hmm.
and it got to that stage where they thought they could get away with anything because we would never get rid of them because they were so crucial to the company, and we had to sit down and let this individual go. And I remember it being very damaging to us, but when we did it, we felt better. And the reason is that there isn't one individual in any Fed that makes or breaks the Fed. There can't be. You have to be able to take away loads of things, but still keep the core thing that is relevant. Um, Same with Premier Wrestling. If I was to leave, Vince was to leave, Premier Wrestling wouldn't go anywhere because the things are in place where they can just continue to rock and roll. Just somebody else just steps into that role, and there's no one person that has all of the builds or all of the marketing. It's split among lots of people, so it's not gonna just disappear if one individual leaves. And I think that was the toughest one for us. We learnt that we needed to put that in place from that point, but the damage that it did. Not only to the fact that we love this individual and we never ever wanted to see them go. That was a tough decision, and that was one of many tough decisions that I had to make.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, so you have had, I'm guessing, a lot of booking experience in your time. To pivot to a bit of a lighter topic,
Yep.
what is your kind of approach to booking?
So I kind of run on the format of excitement sandwich, except for the
Sure.
bread is the excitement part. So what I'll tend to do is I will start a show with a card that I know is going to perform. Are they main event? Probably not kind of that standard, but I know they're going to put on a solid performance that is going to get the fans excited. Um, I always start with something like that. Then in the middle, I will push the story. So in sort of the middle section, I will find story matches, promos, things that are going to drive the story for um, the ongoing sort of shows that are continued, and then I like to finish with a bang, with a big main event, with people that I know will perform solidly and they won't struggle. And obviously, I like to mix that up and try and put people with people that I know will be able to do that to try and push them to the next level. But that's sort of my go-to booking. That's the way I've always done it, and it seems to work with me because people just they don't remember the beginning of your show. They only tend to remember the end, and they're only going to stick around to the end if they like what they see at the beginning. So that's kind of the principle I've always worked on when it comes to booking.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. That's a very interesting and a very thoughtful way of putting of like a very interesting and thoughtful approach to booking. Uh, what would be some of the challenges that you and your team face when creating compelling storylines with this?
So the things you face are wrestlers not turning up and having a lack of wrestlers. Those were the hardest things. So we'd have like I remember one particular show. We had it was during a illness streak where there was a lot of people who were getting ill. It wasn't COVID. It was actually before that. It was something that was going around and it was making a lot of people ill. And I remember we got into the booking to the pre-meeting before the match, and there was three of us, and that was the meeting. And we were like, "How are we going to put this show on tonight with three people?" And at that, I ended up doing the first match, refing the second match, commentating the third match, and then being on an alt for the fourth match. And every one of us had to do that to make a match. And that's one of the biggest problems. The show must go on. I think if you cancel a show, it's not good. I would prefer it if you just put on one match and just went, we don't have the people. Just put on something. Because when you cancel a show, people think, oh, they're going to cancel next week. Then they won't come, and you lose that kind of momentum of your crowd. But yeah, the biggest things with storylines is again people dropping out. So you'll have a really good story, and then halfway through, it will they're unable to do it. Would you like me to tell you a background hidden behind the curtain story of Premier Wrestling when that happened?
Go for it.
Right. So we had a really good storyline. between, I think it was Hunter, and at the time, I think it might have either been Xander or Ace. And during the storyline, Hunter's laptop broke. And when I mean broke, his monitor came off the laptop.
Oh, God.
So it was gone. We had nothing. And we were deeply invested in the storyline, and it happened just before there was going to be a promo. So Ace went out and cut a promo without Hunter. I can't remember if it was Ace or X, and we weren't able to bring in Hunter to do that. And what we ended up doing was making a copy of Hunter and bringing him out and having Hunter record the audio on a phone and put his voice over this fake Hunter. And that was how we did the storyline. So, somewhere, if you go back in the video, one of the Hunters you see isn't really Hunter.
That is pretty ingenious, though, I have to admit.
You also had somebody fall asleep. I don't know if you're going to ask me this, but what's the weirdest thing that ever happened to me once was that somebody fell asleep in the gorilla position. Again, I'm not going to tell you who it was, but we literally were like, "Are you ready?" Yes, and then all we heard was,
"Oh no!"
And we were like, "Is he genuinely asleep?" And he was. He fell asleep in the gorilla position, and no one could wake him up. It got to the stage where we pushed him to the ring, and we used invert to do the match, and he was asleep.
Oh my goodness! Oh Lord!
Yep, I've had some weird stuff happen.
That's actually a perfect segue. Invert, pull and push. You work on Prime, if I remember correctly, right? The Wrestling HUD.
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
What was kind of the impetus for choosing to make a new HUD back in the day?
Okay. I will tell you the truth. At the time, there was a lot of worry that again, I'm not going to use names and I'm not going to use as much as I can, that a certain HUD that was being used at the time was going to become unavailable to particular groups. That's what we were told. We were told that this particular HUD would not be available to people who were in particular feds. That was a big worry for me. It was also a worry for me because as a content creator, as a helper, as a mentor, when I was doing SL mentoring stuff, I didn't want the opportunity for wrestlers in SL to not be able to continue their talent and feel like they were being blackmailed to doing certain actions that they might not want to do due to the fact that it was that or nothing. So I went and created this HUD, and it was out of fear that at the time my particular fed was going to be unable to perform and other feds were going to be unable to perform. And I was driven by that fear and also the drive to make SL Wrestling continue. Initially, I was going to make a copy of what was the initial HUD. I ended up accidentally bumping into a scripter who turned out to be one of the best scripters I've ever met. And I explained to them what it was about and what it did, and they were like, well, we can do it like 10 times better, and give me a wish list. And I started throwing things like macros and pulls and pushes and being able to like take people's items away and give people stuff, and it just became a monster. And that became the Prime HUD. And there was a lot of work that went into it, a hell of a lot of work. And a lot of testing, and a lot of nightmares, and a lot of sleepless nights.
I would say, personally speaking, that it was well worth it in the end, though, because it's a fantastic HUD.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's always good to hear because I worried about it, and there's still bugs with it. But trust me, there was a lot more bugs with it when it first came out.
yeah, it is a truly beautiful piece of work. Like it's awesome. Oh, how do you foster a positive and productive work environment for your team and wrestlers?
It's a really good question, and it's also really hard to do. I
Mm.
try and listen as best as I can to every individual. I can't as much as I used to be able to. I used to have chats with everyone. I used to make go out my way to wrestle everyone and get a feel for like how they're feeling in the Fed and do teaching. It's really hard for me now, not only because of all the work that I'm doing in real life, but all the extra stuff that I'm doing in Second Life for different bits and bobs, and all the stuff behind the scenes with PW. It's difficult for me to connect as much as I'd like to with the wrestlers. But I feel that as long as they individuals have a place to talk and that they genuinely know that we are there to listen to them and that we genuinely care. Like I genuinely care about everyone who performs, and even people who are not in the Fed anymore, but were in the Fed, and I made friends with them, and they've left, and they're doing other things in different Feds, or they're just not wrestling anymore. I still care about them, just the same as I did when we're investing our time for the writing, to build them items, to make them look a certain way, to build merch, to take images of them, to do all this stuff, to train them, to teach them. We really care about each of these individuals, and we don't take it personally when people, have to leave or move on or whatever. That's their choice. Um, but I try and make it so that these people know that we do care, and they can come and talk to us about anything, whether it be something in real life or it be something in Second Life, and we're not going to just shrug it off. We're actually going to listen to them, and with things like talent relations that we have in place. I'm always going to talent relation. I'm always looking in the investigations to see, maybe somebody might have missed something, and I'm always, looking at both sides of stories with an open mind. Because I know that sometimes in Second Life, groups get together and it can become like a witch hunt, and people are like, "This person's done this," and they haven't actually done that. There's just enough people saying that they have, to make it so it's like it has to be the case. So I like
Hmm.
to come at things with a totally open mind and actually really look at it and find out if that individual has done that and why they did that. More importantly, why. Because everyone has a bad day. Everyone says something that they regret, and they shouldn't be punished for that. But they should realize how to deal with the issue that put them in the position to do that in the first place. Are they having a bad day? Why are they having a bad day? Let's talk to them about their day, not what they did. Let's talk to them about the day, and a lot of that comes from my background. I did counselling and things, um, so I do like to kind of listen to people, and I understand the power of counselling. And I think in Second Life, you're more of yourself than you are in real life. And I think at the same time as that, you actually put yourself in a situation where you can be hurt more in Second Life sometimes, and it does more
Hmm.
damage than people think.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's something that a lot of people don't expect, but it's something that I've seen time and time again in my own ventures. And people really underestimate the power of how much SL can affect you.
It's for some people, SL's the only connection they have in a social environment with like-minded individuals, and the ability to connect and have that positive group is so powerful. And especially if you haven't got that in real life, if you don't have a large friend group, it can be the difference between night and day. And if someone in that friend group upsets you and you get kicked out of that friend group, or you get removed from the sim, it can have deadly effects on people. People, I've seen horrible things happen to people, and it's all been over just silly stuff. So I always like to try and nip it in the butt. And Vince always likes to remind people that everyone is a grown up, and even though we're here and we're having fun and we're kids, we're having a laugh. We are all grown up, and sometimes you have to put your grown up hat on and just understand that people have feelings.
Exactly. Exactly. How do you handle conflicts such as trolls and grafer attacks and ensure a safe environment?
Um, the best advice that I've always followed, and it works for me really well, is just ignore them. The whole point of trolls is to get a reaction. They want a reaction, whether it be for their video content, because a lot of these trolls do videos,
Mm,
or they just want to cause destruction. So they will come in, they will say things to try and trigger people. They will use racist remarks. They will use taboo imagery. They will use offensive-looking avatars. Anything they can do to get somebody to react to them, and to take away their power. It's very simple. I mean, we've got a system at ours that kicks people who don't have a ticket. So if they come into the arena, they've only got a certain period of time that they can come and start yelling with an open mic before they get kicked anyway. And obviously, with us recording externally, we don't record anything that's in SL. So they can come in and say whatever they want. It's never going to be on the video recordings. They're only the people in the arena is going to hear that. Um, I like to call them snipers, but we do have them, and they are very quick to spot people, kick them. We have a kick first policy. It's not nasty. What we do is we will kick an individual when we feel that they are doing something. Sometimes it can be as simple as just accidentally having your mic open. We will kick
mm,
that individual. We will then contact that individual and we will say, "We're very sorry, we've removed you because of this, this, and this." If they come back to us and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize my mic was open," um, I'm very sorry about that. We'll just let them back in. Like there's no issue. We just bring them back in. But then if we find out that they are a griefer, that we've already got rid of them, and yeah, I mean you're gonna get griefed, and the more popular you get, the more griefing you're gonna get because the more you're drawing attention to yourself, the more exciting their videos are gonna be because the more people it can upset. So yeah, that's my best advice to defuse griefers. Just pretend they're not there and carry on doing what you love and mute them. And then if they can remove them, great. If you can't remove them, just pretend they're just not there. People are there to see your performance. They're there because they love what you're doing. They're there to support you. That griefer doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anyone. All he wants is a reaction for his video or to feel good about himself or whatever. He's not even worth my time. He's not worth anyone's time. Just ignore him.
heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, I'm going to move a little bit into the future now. What is the vision for the future of where you're at right now?
Well, I never thought we'd get this far. If I was going to be honest with you, my vision ended probably about a year and a half ago. That was my vision. I wanted to make a Fed where the Fed people could leave and go on holiday, and the Fed would just continue. We wanted to make somewhere where the wrestlers were getting paid for the performances they were doing, and I wanted to branch out and make sure that we were doing like events, like road shows that were of a significant nature, not just at someone's sim, but were like at a proper event. And we got that about a year and a half ago. I think now stepping into territories of like working with Linden Labs and doing a lot of stuff for charities, and now we're branching out more into like connecting with other feds. I think it's been a long time. There's a lot of feds have got negative feelings against each other, and they've had that for a long time in the past. I think the world's changing. I think people are realizing that we all want the same thing, and when one Fed's doing well, it actually draws attention to other feds, and when one fed loses wrestlers and they move to another fed, they're of a certain quality which helps them. So being sort of with the bigger groups isn't they're not the big groups aren't trying to overthrow the little groups. They're actually trying to help them. And it's took a turn, and it's been a long time coming, I think. So in the future I see more collaboration. I see us moving to work with Linden Labs in a more kind of sports orientated manner, and giving opportunities to other groups to showcase what they do in their communities and draw people into their communities as well as we've been given. We were always said at the beginning, if we get opportunities that we can do, we don't want to just keep them for ourselves, because that makes Premier Wrestling grow, which is great for us as a business, but it makes other people think, well, I can't do that, and that's not very nice. Our plan is to expand and at the same time offer these things to other feds and say, well, we're doing Burning Man. Would you like to do Burning Man as well? We can have a chat and then we can put you on the thing. We're doing SLB. Do you want to do SLB as well? We could get you on the card, and that's what we're going to try and do. If we get a community gateway, which is what we're currently working on and have been working on probably for the last year, we will be hosting there other people's events to try and draw people that we know come to the gateway for wrestling and contact sports. But we want to put things like boxing there from other feds in SL. We want to put on FWF. We want to put on different feds, VWE and things like that to showcase there, because we know they're going to get an audience that they're not going to get at their sim, to try and grow the fan base. So yeah, I see that happening in the future, and hopefully people will put down the shield a little bit more and be willing to work together.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. This will be the last question, and then we're going to probably wrap it up.
Okay.
When everything is said and done, what legacy do you hope to leave behind after everything?
Wow, that is a big question. I'll be honest with you, I've never thought about it, because everything I ever did was for everyone else's enjoyment. I cannot tell you how excited I got when I made that first arena and they put on that show, and I could watch these 3-5 people get together and put on a performance that they put a lot of time in and a lot of work, and without the arena that I built, they couldn't live that dream. And I get the same feeling every day when I go out and perform and I watch these people perform, and I'm part of the show, or I'm not part of the show, I'm just standing backstage, and I always see their enjoyment, and I think I was a little part of that, only a small part, but I made the stage, or I talked to them about that booking, or I did this, or I did their entrance music to give them the boost, or and though and being a part of that excitement has always been my kind of like reward, if you would, for doing it. As for like leaving a legacy, I think I would like to leave a legacy of inspiration. I would like to inspire people to continue to create content in SL, to continue to push the boat out. So when you're told you can't do something, or it can't be done, or it's never been done before, or I wouldn't do that, it didn't work for me, that you go, no, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be successful at it. And you try your best, and you give it all you've got. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it doesn't destroy you. But you're inspired, because you can look at people like Vince Aftermath, like myself, like DHA, like any of these other people who run feds, or you would consider being a successful individual, like Ashi Chung. and you go, if they could do it, I know that it's possible that I can do it. So that would be my legacy. The inspiration to make people continue to do what they love and do it well.
Heck yeah. I love that. LG, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here on RingMasters. Do you have any pluggables? Where can people find you? Where do you work?
Okay, so I'm Lord Jeffrey Mercer, that horrible nice guy. I'm a nice guy at the moment, but I'm normally a horrible guy at Premier Wrestling. I think if I'm going to promote anything, I'll probably promote my 3D company. So I do a company called Geek Printing. I produce 3D props, movie props, and actually post them to people around SL. I do pretty much everything. So like any 3D thing that we make, even in World, I can make it in real life and actually send it to you. So that's something I kind of I love as well. I kind of bringing SL into the real world and then connecting like it's very weird to me anyway. It's like what we do in SL in the real world, and then I'm like giving it to the real person who's then enjoying it because they enjoy it in Second Life. It's very obscure, but yeah, it's something I enjoy doing. But yeah, Premier Wrestling, come see us. Overload Attitude, Mondays, and I'm performing this tomorrow. As of this video, I don't know, 27th. I'll be performing.
Oh, heck yeah, heck yeah. Thank you again. Thank you again, LG. Thank you to Premiere for allowing us to be able to have this chat and for putting it on Ringmasters. I'm DJV. You can find me and my Fed DAW, Decibel Info Wrestling, every other Thursday at 6 p.m. SLT. Until next time, have a great night and stay in the fight. We'll see you later.